So somebody on the right is doing a last-ditch effort to try to save Roy Moore's campaign. Roy Moore, it's now been outed that, like, I don't even know, 5, 6, 7 different women are like, yeah. Some people say, hey, he sexually assaulted me. Others, it was, there was one girl who was 14 and Moore tried to be sexually involved and kissed her and tried to get her to touch his dick, and so that's molesting. But it's like more and more as time goes by, the stories come out and they keep getting worse and worse. So, and he was even, they say he was banned from a mall because everybody knew, like, yeah, he like preys on, young girls. Oh. So listen to this last-ditch effort to try to save his campaign. It's a robocall that people are getting, and it's always something that the far right falls back on. Listen.
This is Bernstein. I'm a reporter for the Washington Post. I'm calling to find out if anyone at this address is a female between the ages of 54 to 57 years old willing to make damaging remarks about candidate Roy Moore for a reward of between $5,000 to $7,000. We will not be fully investigating these claims. However, we will need a written report. I can be reached by email lbernstein@washingtonpost.com. Thank you.
So that is somebody pretending to be a reporter saying, my name is Bernie Bernstein. If you have any damaging stories on Roy Moore, let me know. You can reach me at, and then he said Al Bernstein at WashingtonPost.com. Is your name Bernie or is your name Al? That's a little weird. But anyway, of course, people try like, okay, so let's email, see what happens. Doesn't get through. So you know what this is. This is a robocall that's trying to push the narrative that there's a giant Jewish conspiracy against Roy Moore. He went to the bottom of the barrel. He got caught molesting a 14-year-old. And all he has left is anti-Semitism. Look, I don't know if he knew about it or if it's just his allies doing it, but either way, it strikes me as pretty fucking bad that they think that this is like, oh, that'll work. Trot out the old Jew hatred, and that'll get him to look. I don't care that he molested a 14-year-old. The Jews are going after him. By the way, the GOP is totally panicking now about this race, this special election. Now, McConnell is floating the idea of having the person who's sitting in Jeff Sessions, of course, became the Attorney General, and they're filling his seat. And they have somebody who's sitting in his seat now, and they're floating the idea of having the person who's replaced Sessions, Luther Strange, step down now, triggering another special election. So they're having a special election to replace Jeff Sessions' seat, but then if this guy steps down, I guess the logic is you need a special election for the special election to do it, so they wanted like a redo in the election because Roy Moore's refusing to step down. But the craziest part of it all is there were polls done on this. I think it was something like 40% of evangelicals in Alabama are now more likely to vote for him. And it was like 28% of people overall. So, I'm more likely to vote for him now. Man, that is... There's no words for it. There's no word. So there's this giant industry now that their whole thing is just trigger the libs. That's all we care about is triggering the libs. So whoever liberals dislike, that's just who they pick. That's just what... look at what happened with Hannity. I think Keurig, the coffee company, decided to pull ads from Hannity because Hannity was like defending fucking Roy Moore. And then Hannity's people started smashing the coffee makers because they're like, no, man, you better stay with Hannity. Literally, when you boil down to the substance of it, these are right-wingers destroying their coffee makers because their favorite host is defending a pedophile. You couldn't script this if you tried. Like, that's the extent of how much the liberal tears narrative runs shit. Like, I mean, could you imagine being that much of a reactionary, you know? Listen, hey, I'm the first. I did a whole fucking report card on Obama, for example, and when it's the Democrats, I'm super hard on them. For fuck's sake, I co-founded a group that is primary in corporate Democrats. So I go after Democrats whenever they're wrong. These are people who are such reactionaries that even when it's proven that this dude is a pedophile, they're like, I don't care, I triggered the libs. Let me break my coffee machine to trigger the libs. And then, everybody was joking about this the other night. I said, I just slapped my grandma to trigger the libs. Like, it's really at that point that, like, I just ruined my life by losing my job to trigger the libs. And, they're at that point where it's like, anything that, anything that the liberals are against, I'm for. So they don't like child molesters, I'm now for child molesters. It's like, no, you're owning yourself. You don't even realize it. You look like a fucking clown because you are one. But that's where we're at. And these are the kind of tricks they have left. Anti-Semitism.